Hey everybody, welcome back to Mike's Wooden Things and Stuff. Today is finally the day that we are going to organize the new tool cabinet. And so the idea here is I'm going to gather up as many little scraps of walnut as I can to make little hangers and stuff for all my saws and measuring and marking stuff and chisels. And all of that is going to go into there. And then that opens up this side of the tool wall for all of my old planes that I've been collecting over on the on the other side there, and I can get those up there and fill this with planes, fill that with saws and measuring, marking things, and I can finally have things organized because that is still empty. I made it a couple of months ago and it's still empty because I haven't gotten around to organizing things yet. So that's the goal for the next couple of days. Walnut hangers for various things in there. Few more maple shelves for some planes up in here, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll see where we're at, and finally have things where they're supposed to be. All right, let's start grabbing some random scraps of walnut that I've got laying around, because why not use walnut for tool hangers when they're little bits? You know, you don't cut up fresh walnut for this. Well, I wouldn't. But all right, let's see what we got. Come on. Okay, so it turned out that I had quite a few little scraps of walnut. Some of them were attached to other little things, from cut-offs from charcuterie boards and cutting boards and stuff, but I had a lot of little scraps of walnut laying around because I just cannot bring myself to burn or throw out walnut. And here we're looking for a hole saw bit. Is that what they're called? Bits? Hole saw things that will give me the internal dimensions of my saws, my saw handles, so that when I cut them out, they will kind of lock the handle of the saw in. You'll see shortly why I'm trying to do that. So I drilled out a bunch of those. I ripped down a bunch of strips of the scrap walnut that I had laying around, and then I could get to putting a kerf into those strips. So we just raised that up sort of like half-ish the height of the strips, and then I could start ripping kerfs into these things. And those kerfs are going to hold the saw blades, and here I am cutting the length of those strips based on the saws that I have, and using the blade guards or the saws themselves to give me the lengths that I'm going to need to hang all these saws. And then we can... What's this? What am I doing here? Oh, okay. So here I'm making a little L bracket piece for the butt end of my dozuki, because it's not going to be the same as these ones, which I'm using the offcuts. The piece of wood that I drilled the holes out of, I grabbed a few little semicircle bits out of that to hold the ends of my gents type saws, my razor saw and my guitar fret saw have rounded ended handles, so I grabbed the little half moon shapes out of those, and then we can start laying it out into the cabinet. And I used Gorilla brand construction adhesive to glue these up because I wanted something secure and solid. I didn't want to put screws in because I was going for an aesthetic thing. If you were doing this, you would want to... Most people probably should be putting screws through these things, but I am also using... I used a 1/4 inch back panel, so I would be drilling through and into the cleats and stuff, and I wanted to use a good glue that would be plenty strong enough. And now we're going on to the squares and stuff, so grabbed a piece of walnut that fit the, what do you call that section of a T-square? Doesn't matter. I was gonna make a couple little brackets for the T-square to hang up on the inside of the door. So here I am just making the piece, the single piece of walnut that will fit that spot in my my TS, I forget the number, my woodpecker's T-square, and then I can notch out one piece that's gonna fit and make one piece that will it's hard to explain really while I'm watching this. I'm making these two little L bracket things that are gonna ride on the door that my T-square can slide into. You'll see in a second here. Then I can transfer that one onto the other one and cut that notch out too. And then I'm sure you'll figure out here in a second what I'm doing. So you put these two little brackets up there and level them off. And then I can hang my T-square from those. And I grabbed a couple of the little offcuts from my curved walnut bits from the saw hangers and made some L's to put the combination squares in and measured those up. And I know that like long grain to end grain is not the most solid connection in terms of a glue joint, but these are also going to be construction adhesive to the door. So I wasn't that worried at this point about them being that solid a joint, because once I adhesive them to the door, they're going to be plenty strong to hold up a 7-gram square on the door of the cabinet. Pretty sure. And then I can start putting those where they go, and we can move on to chisel rack. So here I've got my Narex chisel set laid out approximately spaced where it needs to be, as close as I can get it to where it needs to be, and I'm marking the blades of the chisels. That's not what they're called at all. Is it? The chisel part of the chisel. What's that called? Doesn't matter. And I found a block of scrap walnut that I could rip a strip off and then rip the back off, and grabbed some 1/4-inch oak hobby wood that I use for floating tenons and stuff, and I could match it up against my sort of template thing that I made earlier for the gaps between the chisels. And I actually have a video on making an old chisel rack that this is basically the same process, so I'll put a link to that up in the corner there. And then I can start putting the spacers in and make sure, using the chisels themselves, that they are going to be approximately perpendicular, and etc, etc. And then I can glue that all together. And I grabbed a random bowl blank that had some heft to it to use as a clamp. And once that was dry, I could cut off all the excess little bits and get it all smoothed up and cleaned up, and got myself a chisel rack for the inside of the other door. It's a low angle jack. Veritas low angle jack. Super good tool. I actually have a video about that as well that I'll put up in the corner. And then I can trim the ends of the chisel rack. Is it a rack? Is it a holster? I don't know. It doesn't matter. My chisel holster for the other door. And just trim those ends, and then I can put a slight sort of bevel on the back side of it so that my chisels will be leaning out from the door a little bit once it's mounted up, and just to, you know, make them a little easier to grab, so they'll be tilting away from the door on the handle section. And get that all leveled up and adhesive that to the door as well. And you just have to hold that stuff up for a minute or so to get it to start grabbing, and then it holds itself. And then there's the squares door, and I can load up the chisels and add a coat of finish. I just use the Howard's Feed and Wax that I use on a lot of stuff to give everything a nice rich coat of oil and wax, and I've got everything mounted as a start anyway. I got the main things that I wanted to get mounted in there, and yeah, it's a good start anyway. I think it's fun. Well, that's gonna be it for this one. I got the chisels up, I got the saws up, I got the squares up. I've decided what's not moving in because it is not of high enough quality for this cabinet. My crappy speed square from Home Depot, my crappy what's it called, coping saw thing, those are not coming in. They are coming down off the wall. And I'm not going to make you watch me mill up some chunks of maple and put 2 dowels in it and stick them to the wall to move my planes over there. So that's it for this one. I know it's not the most efficient use of the space, hanging saws like this, but it's more pleasant and I like it, and that's what's most important. I'm not sure what's going up on that door above the chisels yet. Get that figured out eventually. And I've got room down here for one more square, and I might put my marking gauges and the knives, marking knives up here someplace as well. I don't know. It's gonna be a work in progress for the next little while, but that is the first initial bit of organization for the cabinet. If you like what I do here, don't forget I do have a Patreon page you can go support at patreon.com/woodenthingsandstuff. And come on back next time and check out what I'm up to. I don't know what it's gonna be. I might be back over on the lathe. Might be making some kind of cabinet thing. I might get a sudden order from the wife. Hard to say. All right. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Happy is most important, so it gets 2, I guess. All right. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.